believe. Yes.
Okay. Hello everyone. Hi guys. How you guys doing?
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Of
I'm
course.
doing fine, doing great.
Of course. You guys look amazing. Actually, to be sincere. So, and you too. Yeah, you look a lot nicer here than in the picture. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I have
Yeah,
my
yeah.
afro.
Exactly, exactly. So, my name is Adewale. I'm a 3D artist and also a co-founder at Africa Communicate. So, Tosin here is my partner. Is going to be anchoring this event with me. So, yeah, Tosin, can you do a little bit of introduction of yourself?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Oluwatosin. I'm a co-founder at Africa Communicate also. And I'm also a game developer with a knack for the extended reality spectrum.
Hmm. Of course, that's nice. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first of all, I would like you guys to do a brief introduction of yourself. So yeah, I'll start with Yusuf.
All right. So I'm the community manager at Egypt Game Developers. It's a small online community, and I'm also a gameplay programmer.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So David.
okay, I'm a game developer from Nigeria. Um, the gameplay programmer at Dimension 11 Studios, a studio I co-founded in Nigeria, and also a community game dev lead at Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, Nigeria.
That's nice. Nice. You get a lot in there. That's nice, one. So Shihab.
Well, I'm Shihab Al Agib. I'm actually engineering, not a game developer. I'm a hobbyist game
Ooh,
developer. But now I mostly do organizing stuff for Sudanese Game Collective. Hosting game jams, workshops, training workshops, sometimes tutoring on the site, and that's
Okay,
about it.
okay. That's nice. You guys are actually, great guys. Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, so let's get right onto it. So the situation of game industry in every country in Africa is absolutely different for every country. So what is the current situation of gaming industry in your home country? So Shihab, please.
Well, to be honest, game development in Sudan is a non-existing industry. I mean, we're trying to promote it, we're trying to establish it, but as of now, most of game development is either pet projects or small commissions for NGOs, for companies that want to market something or advertise something. That's just about it. We're trying to improve on that situation. We're
Okay.
trying to develop interest in game development. We're trying to build capacity, train people. But for now, I mean, the situation in Sudan has been somewhat hectic in the past few years. We're getting there, but slowly.
Of course. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Of course, we are going to get there. Of course. So David.
Oh yeah, I mean, Adewale, we are both
Yeah,
Nigerians, so we can
of
really
course,
say,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, in Nigeria, I just look at the past 6 years. I mean, 6 years ago, I mean, we had the likes of Maliyo Games then in Nigeria who came into the
Exactly.
space, who brought game dev into Nigeria, and I mean, a lot of people saw it as a very big opportunity, and they stepped in then. After Maliyo took the lead, I think 2, 3, 4 years after, the trend sort of reduced. Many people weren't making
Yeah,
games, and then we didn't really have much from the gaming industry in Nigeria. But fast forward to last year, I mean, seeing Africa Communicate coming into the space, it was so
yeah,
amazing. When Africa Communicate came up with a jam and an event last year, which I
yeah.
was
That's
fully
true.
part of, and I mean that sort of created that spark in Nigeria, and we started seeing a lot of game contents from Nigerian developers everywhere. And afterwards, there was this Malia came up with the Niger Game Evo, which was a game
Exactly.
showcase, and I think I was there physically as well, and I saw the quality of games that were made. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
it was really impressive. So
Uh,
it has gotten a lot better. I mean, from last year, and now this year we are starting this way. I mean, with the Global Game Jam, I think it's going to keep getting better.
Okay, of course. Thank you for that. Yeah. So Yusuf.
Yeah. All right. So things are moving forward very, very slowly in Egypt because, like making a game takes a lot of time and resources. So in Egypt, most game studios, which aren't many, don't really have a lot of resources for developers in terms of money and time and all that. So you'd find a lot of people going more like if they're programmers, they go more to the like other generic software companies. If they're
Yeah.
artists, they're gonna go to like more generic graphics design and such companies, marketing and such. So we have a few studios who've been like quite successful, I'd say, but still things are very very slow so far. We lack in a lot of areas. Like there aren't a lot of decent game designers. Production as well. Like people are tend to be split between either programming or art, and then we're missing a few other important pillars. But things are at least moving forward. Things are like you notice the improvement every year. There are more people getting into the scene, and more people get actual jobs in the game dev scene. So it's quite promising.
Okay, of course, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said earlier, of course, we are getting there. So, Shihab, you mentioned earlier that you are more of organizing game jams. So, how long have you been organizing game jams, and what exactly is the motivation behind this? Shihab, can you hear me?
Uh, well, I think I'm losing you here.
Hello.
I can, but I've lost picture.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. So for the most part, it's nice. مش إنه go into
okay. Yeah, I think that's the internet right there.
Yeah, I think.
So, David, you want to answer the question? So, how long have you been organizing game jams? And
Okay,
what's the
this
motivation? Of course, what's the motivation?
okay, this
I'm
will be
so
my
sorry.
okay. I
Okay,
think
yeah, Shahab is back. Shahab is back. Shahab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So as I was saying, the motivation for FNAI for organizing game jams is to grow interest in game development, because we do have the basis for game developers. We have programmers who can actually do great stuff. We have artists, very good artists, and we actually have people who did have experience in designing board games. So at least we got the game design part set up. So what we want to do is motivate these people to actually to get together and make a game, not just design an app for
Exactly.
whatever service industry they work on, or marketing campaign they are doing. So game jams are for growing the interest, and workshops for capacity building. So if someone who has the basic knowledge of programming or art or whatever, we do workshops to improve on that knowledge and to direct it better at game development. But I mean, like we said, I mean, even us as trainers, as especially trailblazers, so to speak, we're still noobs. We're still new to this, so we're learning and hopefully getting better at it. I'm sorry, I think my internet.
Um, I can hear you.
I think it's the internet again.
Okay. So,
yeah.
David, you can take the floor now, please.
Yeah, okay. For me, I got more into the game dev space really last year. Before last year, I'd been doing more or less personal projects, and I'd not really come out to see what's really out there in the game industry in Nigeria. So after I think I got to know about Global Game Jam last year in February. Yes, last year was actually the first game jam I would ever attend, and this is my first that I'll be organizing this year. So last year February, I just got to know about the Global Game Jam, and I got to know about it in February, and it held in January. I was so pissed off, like I wanted to be part of this, even if I don't even organize something. I want to make games there, and I just had that determination that I worked towards this year. Everything it was going to take me, I was going to actually see that it was a success this year. So when I participated in Africa Comic Gamathon, I got the experience of being a game jam
Okay.
and then
Okay.
working on a project. you don't really have time, and you need to go so small and design something very beautiful, something very good. So afterwards, I also participated in a couple of other jams, and it was really fun. And I just had that mindset that this year I'm going to be part of the Global Game Jam. And coming into this year, it was not so easy because like I'm based in Ife, and we don't really have much game developers in Ife. We have a very
Yes.
small community, and even in the Nigerian space, we don't really communicate so well. So you can't really reach out to a lot of people. But the small community we have in Ife is quite strong, and I mean we sort of reach out to one another. So I could reach out to a couple of them, and we planned something, which we are looking forward to this coming weekend.
Okay, okay, absolutely, that's fine. Yusuf, I actually have a comment for you here to see someone just threw a comment to you. Nice here, Yusuf.
Wait, thank you.
Yeah. I said it earlier as well. Yeah. Okay. So Yusuf, you mentioned earlier this is your first time of organizing game jam, right? So what actually pushed you this year? I mean, what motivated you this year to actually organize a
Yeah.
game jam?
So we actually did very small game jams before, like local, a small group of people gathering for a jam, but never something of like the scale of global game jam. So since this year is online because of the pandemic, we were already like sort of prepared to host an online jam because we have our Discord server for Egypt game developers. So when they announced it's going to be like online and remote, we thought that it would be a great opportunity for us to host a site since we already had the resources for it. Um, that's to put it simply, because I think like the more sites, the more accessible the event will be.
Okay. That's nice. That's nice to hear. So, Tosin, do you have any question for David?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
can.
sure, we can.
All right then, awesome. So it's nice to know we have so many people organizing game jams this year. One thing I would like to ask is, what do you see about game jams? Do they really promote collaboration amongst individuals? I would like to hear your thoughts about this.
So
Starting
I
from
guess.
Yusuf.
All right. Um, like game jams been one of those things that get a lot of people into the industry. They try it, they have a great experience, and they're hooked. So they get to know more people who help them enter the industry. It gives you a window for experimentation, and it provides you with like a glimpse of everything you'd expect to see in the industry, so it's an invaluable experience. I've been to Global Game Jam before, and it was like so much fun. So yeah.
So okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you for that, Yusuf. So Shihab, you want to go next?
Hmm. Well, I don't really have much to add to Yusuf. I mean,
Okay.
say
Okay.
it.
No problem.
It's such. It's well, I think game jams are good for the for organizers too. I mean, for starters, you at least get to know that there are people other than you that are interested in game development, and it's good to see someone else's enthusiasm. And تاني قطع. So internet
Okay.
is really bad. Actually, it's not about the internet.
No problems at all. Yeah, internet can be frustrating sometimes actually.
I mean, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I
Yeah, we
can.
can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it again. So David. So can you answer the question, please?
Okay. For me, from my experience with attending game jams last year, I saw that game jam is really very helpful to build community. Even after the jam, those that I met at the jam, although we didn't work on the same team, and even those that work together on the same team, we still keep in touch. In fact, we we talk about, okay, how far have you gone in the industry, and we sort of even introduce jobs to one another. Okay, there's a job out
Yeah,
there. It
exactly.
creates this community mindset. And then also, I've been working as a solo developer for, I mean, a few years now, and the feeling is different when you're working alone on a solo project compared to when you are working with a team. So if you have not really got into the industry yet, I mean, the big studios out there, I think the game jam sort of give you that kind of environment. It's a small scale of it, of working with a lot of other people. It's very, very different because, where you know that it's not just your opinion that counts on a particular project. You need to look at time, you need to look at a lot of things. So if you're working alone, everything is, within your control. But when you're working with more than just one, two, three persons, it's so different. And that's how the industry works. So this game jam actually gives you that benefit of learning how to work with a lot of people and planning a project. So you know how you scale your project, you know everybody's skill sets, and you don't actually have to probably take everything up on yourself. So you sort of learn how to manage a team. I mean, being a part of a game jam, and I see this year on being even much better because many of us, even like in the site where I am, we're planning to work on games together, collaborate, and see what we can do. And like this, even like the first time we'll be collaboration like that together on a single project, like working together as a team. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it goes beyond just the jam. Even after the jam, we still
Exactly.
keep in touch. Yeah, if there's something that brings people together, once that thing still exists, there's always a community feeling. Okay, I worked with a social person 3 months ago in the jam. It was really amazing and all of that. So you still keep in touch, and it's really a good thing.
Of course, obviously, collaboration. Of course, everyone needs that. Working alone, of course, doesn't. It's not even interesting at all. When you have, people work together, then of course you think together and all that. Yeah. So, yeah. Again, a quick one. Game jams, of course, is it actually just for game developers because it is actually called a game jam? Right? Is it just for game developers? Like, okay, can anybody else participate in game jams? Yusuf.
Um, so if I got your question right, you're asking if anyone can participate.
Yes, yes, of course. Is it just for game developers only because it is called game jam?
It's actually not like it's specifically to have people become game developers rather than it is being for game developers. Because we tend to expect to see a lot of people who've never touched the field before. So they go there and they find people who also didn't touch anything related to the field before, and other people who are experienced. So these people get encouraged because there are others who also don't know anything, and then you have people who help them learn and like know from where to start, you know.
Okay, okay, okay. So Shihab,
Mhm.
I said, is
Sorry, actually,
the question?
I missed it. I mean, the internet was
Okay,
acting up.
okay, okay, okay. No problems. I can just repeat it. I said, game jams. Is it just meant for game developers only because it's actually called game jam, like a game? Is it just for game developers?
Well, it depends on what you define a game developer as. I mean, if it's not necessarily video games. You can develop board games. Actually, you can develop even games you play physically, if that's the general idea. And games themselves in the recent years have, I mean, crossed many borders. I mean, you have games that are no different from movies. I mean, what if you're actually following the scene? What studios such as Quantic Dream makes? I mean, they're just movies mostly, and walking simulators. And I mean, the thing is, the industry have gone past this thing that a game is just something you control with your keyboard or joystick and
Mm-hmm.
have agency, move soldiers or drive a car or anything. So, well, it's not necessarily. You can have, I mean, besides programmers and artists, you can have writers, you can have musicians, and you can have people who actually develop serious games, educational games, which are not necessarily games for fun. You can have educators, you can have trainers. So the potential is limitless. You can have everyone who's interested in doing something and have a vision and has the vision to do it. So
Yeah.
no, game jams are not necessarily for game developers.
Okay. Certainly. Certainly. Of course. Of course. So, David, this would be for you. So, would you say Africa gaming industry is growing? I mean, it's growing fast, and why would you say so?
Yeah, okay. Let me start like this. The African gaming industry is really, really growing fast. I mean, from last year's statistics that I looked at how, the trends of things, not just within Nigeria, even across the continent. I mean, a lot of foreign companies are now recruiting Nigerian developers into their studios overseas. I mean, if you look at many of the even big studios we have out there, you see one, two, three, four, five, six Africans there, which is really a big deal because we're actually catching the public eye. I will just divert a little talking about the animation industry. It's as though the animation industry and the gaming industry are actually growing so quickly together. I think Disney sort of made a collaboration with an African animation studio recently to make a Disney movie that has this African concept in
Yeah,
it. I mean, I saw
yeah.
it on Instagram and I was really impressed. So it has come to stay really. And the funny thing is that the industry is growing so big globally, like billions of dollars every year, and the rate at which the economy the gaming industry is improving the country's economy and all of that. We can't just be left out. And the little efforts Nigerians are making, Africans are making, different parts of the continent is really, really making sense, really, really helpful. And also, from my conversations with foreign, game developers from different continents, I saw that feeling of, okay, I want to. They're really ready to collaborate with Africans because if we look at the game industry, if we look at the game genres we have out there, we don't really see African contents out there. I mean, we have a few of them, and it's not that African contents don't make sense, but really we've not seen people who can really dive right in to really do the work and bring out something very beautiful in the gaming space for our African content. And I see that coming soon. Although right now we don't really have a AAA studio, in Africa yet. We still have, indies and then mid-scale studios, but with the rate at which everybody is growing, there are lots of talent in Nigeria and even Africa at large. I've seen games made by Africans. I mean, I had to take a second look and probably look at the cast to see, okay, this is made by an African developer. I mean, so it's really amazing, and I see it going so big. I mean, it has started, and I see it even going much better this year.
Okay, so Yusuf, what's your take on that?
Um, Game development is pretty much growing everywhere. And the fact that it is so in demand basically means it will also grow quite quickly in Africa. And like even though, for example, we don't really have like a lot of job opportunities in the country itself, but there are a lot of opportunities with like things like freelancing and contract work and all that. Um, and I think we learned a lot from this pandemic because now a lot of the studios who weren't very used to like remote workflows are now more open to that, giving more accessibility to the jobs of the industry. Um, and the more there are jobs, the more like game development will become a thing in Egypt and in Africa in general, because like people need to make a living to actually be part of the industry. So now the opportunities to make a living making games is becoming more reliable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's true. That's very true. You just said what I was about to say too, but I would like to ask this question. What plans do you guys have for your jammers this year, considering the fact that Global Game Jam is online? So,
So she
Yusuf,
had.
what do you think?
All right, so I don't think we have something extraordinary. Since it's our first time, we're trying to keep things as simple as possible to be able to manage the whole thing, the whole site. We are having sessions. We invited local game developers who were in the field for quite a few years to give like talks at the first day. We're also doing sessions to introduce new jammers to one another. There is also that. We also did a few resources for the jammers in pretty much in Arabic. So people who aren't familiar, for example, with version control, they know what that is. People who don't know what a game jam is, they will know what a game jam is, and we're like giving them advice in these videos, all in Arabic to make it as accessible as possible to Egyptians. And then when the jam starts, we will be, of course, monitoring it and making sure no one has any issues. And having everything in Discord makes it quite easy to manage. That way, if people have any questions, they can easily tag any of the helpers and so forth. And then, like when the jam is over, we will be showcasing everyone's games by doing let's play live streams and such. Like probably the weekend after.
Okay.
So yeah, that sums it up, I guess.
Okay, that's nice, of
That's
course.
cool. Definitely. So
Thank you.
Shihab, can you please tell us what plans you have for your jam site?
Well, nothing special this year. Usually, we do pre-jam workshops, training. We used to collaborate with Cologne Game Lab for that. But this year, we mostly, I mean, just letting people act with what they have. See how things work out. Um, Afterwards, we're considering, depending on the performance this year, to have workshops for. We're going to learn from our experience, from what people do this year, what they're missing, what they know, to plan our training courses for the remaining of the year. But that's just about it. I mean, we're gonna have a vanilla global game jam. Nothing special.
Okay,
That's it.
okay, that's
David,
Okay. For us this year at my jam sites, there's really nothing much going on. I mean, this is our first time, so we are ready to learn from this and see what we can do about it. Like since everybody won't be together in the same location, we're planning to use source control. I mean, for both developers using different engines and see how best we can do that. And then we're also looking at, since everybody has some experience and those who don't really have much experience making games, we plan organizing, some sessions, meetup sessions, simple sessions to actually explain to everyone what a game jam really is and how to use version control, how to submit your commits and all of that. So we are not really doing so much, but the essence of this jam for us is not just jam. I mean, it goes beyond the jam. We're looking at building a community. I mean, in our own base in Ife here and see how best we can get more game developers into the space.
okay, okay.
that's totally fine. That's totally fine. It's nice to see we having more and more events like this that have the ability to build more and more communities. So yeah, I would like to throw this at us. What do we think about the educational infrastructure when it comes to games in Africa? I know we really don't have something solid, but I would love to hear your thoughts about this.
So if I got your question right, you're asking about like educational institutions who teach game development, right? Okay. So this is definitely very uncommon to see, like at least in Egypt. Um, there aren't many courses like that touch game development, and because of that, like in most colleges at least, it's never enough to have people interested in the field, and especially because most of the people who teach it don't really have enough experience to like get people interested, and the also the other problem is that there might be a bit of a language barrier. Not everyone is very comfortable with English resources in general in Egypt, and because of that, they end up with the limited resources, which aren't sufficient enough to get people hooked in. Um, so I think this is like the one of the bigger challenges, making game development more accessible and prominent in Egypt. But we, as years go by, we have people who become more and more experienced, and some of them become interested in like teaching and in like spreading the word and making like decent content that is in Arabic to make it accessible to most people, not everyone at least. So it's not really on a standstill. It's moving forward. So it's kind of promising. Well, that's my take.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Shihab. What do you think about the educational infrastructure as it relates
Severely lacking.
to games generally?
Well, in Sudan, it's severely lacking. We do have a decent education when it comes to programming, and thankfully, game programming is, well. If you leave graphics aside, it's more or less the same. But for design, for graphics, especially for the art side, it's a little bit. Actually, it's very lacking. I mean, we don't. I don't think we have any colleges or universities in Sudan that specialize in 3D design, 3D art. And when it comes to 2D art, when you have architects, they do 3D art, but it's not really applicable to games. Uh, but education for games specifically, well, most people rely on self-learning. You have YouTube,
Yeah.
you have courses, you have engineers and experienced game developers who blog about game development, who share their knowledge, and then we have an initiative like ours that try to establish workshops, collaborate with other initiatives, especially amongst student bodies. We've had a collaboration, I think, in 2019. We It was in the University of Khartoum, Faculty of Mathematical Sciences. It was, I mean, in general, it was to teach students general ناس مش شنو general skills when it comes to for practical use. So we did small sessions on on game design, on graphics design for games, and on programming. But other than that, well, we need to work on it. I mean, at least establish the artist side of it, the artistic side of it, better. And for the programming side, we can piggyback on existing initiatives on IEEE, on existing student bodies, and organizations, and so forth. But okay, like I said at the beginning, we're getting there, but slowly.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely, of course. So I don't know. Let's check the comment section if you have something. Okay, I think you just have comments. David, this is for you. I don't know. Okay, it's fine, bro. Yeah. Okay. So and Victor Igwe is saying something. I think he's just agreeing to what Shiaba said. Yeah, self-learning is the order of the day for many game developers on this side of the world. Absolutely, yeah. Even yeah, I think me myself, I think Tosin as well. Even David, I think yeah, game development has been something we learn on our own. I don't think we went to the many game development school here in Nigeria. I don't think there's any actually. So yeah, that's true. So yeah, talking about after game jams actually, okay. Say for example, there are some games that were not, maybe they're still lacking some, some touches. They're not done building it. Is there some kind of maybe follow up after the game jams to ensure okay those kind of games are they are built, maybe the prototype is finished successfully. Is there some kind of follow up after game jams? So Shihab, please.
Well, in our case, it's weak. I mean, we don't do much follow-ups. We should, and we have actually started to plan on what we're going to do after this game jam, because we did notice that people get burnt out after a game jam. I mean, they finish the project, they upload it, and they're done. They don't want to look at it again. Probably a PTSD, but.
That's nice. PTSD.
So we're trying to come up. I mean, staying up for 48 hours is tough.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
sure, sure, absolutely.
so we're trying to figure out a way to encourage people to revisit their old projects, and I mean it's a prototype, and some of them are decent when you see them working on it. But I mean they get trashed up at the last moment. Some actually don't upload the project at all. Just upload. I mean as they start their they establish their project page, and perhaps upload some artwork, some concept design, but they don't upload an actual playable prototype. So we want to encourage them to revisit it and give them a platform, another platform aside from the Global Game Jam, to showcase their work and help them if they want to upload it to to existing outlets. I mean, if uh, fortunately the mobile front is too open, is very open.
Yeah,
Perhaps some who design for mobile phones can upload their games to Play Store or App Store, or just freelance it. Just upload مش شنو upload their own APKs. But the thing is, we really should encourage people to improve to keep working on their projects.
yeah,
That's a really definitive issue for uh, game development in Sudan and Africa in general, I think.
yeah, yeah. So, David, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, since this is our first, I think we are really looking forward to that. I mean, having followers after the jam. I mean, it's not going to end with the jam. And I see that many of the very good games we see today, I mean, the games that really made a very big hit in the industry, were actually, many of those mechanics were actually defined in the jam. And those guys saw it as very cool stuff, and they went further to develop them, and it became a very big game. So we are very open to that, to see, I mean, just beyond the jam and not just, I mean everything getting finished with the jam. So after the jam, we're still going to look at the projects we've made and see, the bug fixing, and then seeing how we can even extend our game design and see what works, what doesn't work, what to remove, and all of that, and see whether we can have a very polished game at the end. So we look forward to that.
Okay, okay, absolutely. I was actually going to ask if how game jams actually benefits larger games, but from what you just said, that most games are actually the idea started from game jams, which is actually cool. So Yusuf, I'm thinking maybe you're agreeing to that as well. Like, is that some kind of follow up you guys are doing after game jams, or you just want to start something like that as well?
It's pretty much as Shihab said. Like in the past years, in the physical side of Global Game Jam in Egypt, people are very burnt out, and the games aren't really properly showcased. And this is why this year we had the idea of doing like the Let's Play live streams in the following weekend after the jam. That way, people would have like rested, and then they can like come and watch these live streams with other people. To give them time to breathe. So we never did that before, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, that's cool then. That's cool then. Thank you for that.
That's awesome. We would love to have the live streams on our platform too
Yeah,
and share across
exactly.
the world and see what is going on in Africa. It's really, really awesome. Kudos to you all. I have this question for each and every one of us. What do you think would make a successful game jam? What are the tips and tricks that could be implemented to actually make your game jam a success? So anyone could go first. David?
Okay. Well, looking at from my experience with the last game jams I joined in, the one first thing I always say is scale small. Like, don't go so big with your ideas. You don't have to have a very big idea. I mean, once you have a very big idea, you bring it to the table, and then you have to cut a lot of things. I mean, you can't make a GTA in 3 4 days. You can't make a blockbuster high graphics
Of
looking game in
course.
3 4 days. So even if it's just you having a box moving around the screen and then shooting very well, and I mean, very fun to play. I learned that from the Africa Community Marathon last year. I mean, you don't need to have a very polished game to really make your game jam very fun. But you can have a very good mechanics, I mean, a very good idea, and then implement it probably in 2D, and even if it's in 3D, and see how it goes. Like, those mechanics, can really work together in a very simple project, and you have a very good game. I mean, that's the first. And second, you need to rest very well. I mean, some people will just have the long list of items they want to do, and then morning, afternoon, night, they're on it. And after the jam, they just break down. I mean, for the next maybe 2, 3 weeks, they can't even do anything. They're just down there. It's even if you don't really finish your game, but still, if you rest very well, you'll be able to think and work on something. You'll be very active when you are working, not working at the same time, dozing off, and that kind of stuff. And the third one is actually be open to ideas, because if you be collaborating with people, I mean, you will bring in different things to the table. So you don't just have to be like, I mean, everybody has to go with what I say. You'll be surprised that you get even much better ideas from your teammates working with you. So just be very open to ideas, and don't. I do hear one quote in the game industry. They said, "Don't be scared to kill your babies." So that's a very cool idea you've been having for years, and you feel
Can you
okay.
say
This is
that in
the
Arabic?
time.
No
so
problem, just
so
go on.
So that's very cool idea you've been having for years. Might be someone who have been playing games for a lot of, for years, and then you have some mechanics you have in your mind and you want to see in a game that you're going to make, and then you bring it to the table, and others are saying, "Oh no, we can't do this. We don't have time," or for one reason or the other. Just be very open, even if you don't implement it in that game. That's why I said it goes just beyond the jam. There's some additional features that can come in after the jam, and you still have a good game out there that you really love. I mean, other ideas can still come in, but for the jam's sake, you need to go very, very small. I think those are really my 3 tips for a game jam.
Okay, that's nice. So, Shihab, what are your thoughts on this?
Uh, well, of course, planning well is the best thing you can do for in a game jam. I mean, don't go too big, and you don't necessarily have to go too small either. I mean, you just know what you can do, and avoid scope creep, because that's a thing I see people do. I mean, they start with something, they have a good concept design, they have a good idea for a game, but then mid through they say, how about we change it from a 2D to a 3D game? And then the artist gets loaded with producing an entire new set of assets, and the programmers have to redo the project from scratch,
Well,
and it gets messy. We've seen good games in the past global
yeah,
game jam that started 2D, had great art. They switched mid
no.
through to 3D, and they also had great art, but they didn't have time to implement the new game.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
true.
by the end of the 48 hours, they were just sitting there, staring into their IDEs and their designer software. They really had good graphics, and I was really impressed. I thought they were going to be the best game we produced this year. But you have to plan. You have to plan well, and you have to know your team. You can't just have a team with 7 programmers and 1 artist. And we had such a
Exactly.
team in one of the past game jams. Balance your team, plan well, don't avoid scope creep as much as possible, and well, resting is don't stay up too late. I mean, perhaps you can make up some time in that night, but the following day you'll be exhausted, and your brain would most likely refuse to function properly. So, and well, the most important thing is just have fun. I mean, it's not a competition.
Exactly,
Global gaming,
exactly.
especially, is not a
Fun.
competition.
Yeah.
You don't have to produce the best game. I mean, if you
Yeah,
ended up just learning something from this experience, it would be good. I mean, it doesn't have to be about game development. It can be just about project management overall. So that's it.
yeah, thank you. So, Yosef.
Yeah, I think David and she have covered the most important things, which is mostly planning and scoping. And I would like to add communication, constant communication between the team members if you're not working alone. Before actually developing, you'd agree with all your teammates on what you're doing, so there wouldn't be any changes during the development. Knowing what you're gonna do and be agreeing on it makes things a lot easier. And during the development process itself, you're constantly communicating with your team members to know that, yeah, we understand each other and we're going in the right direction. And one more thing is to never try to build last second. Just try to build and play your game before the submission with a few hours, because like very often builds fail and things can go wrong. So being giving space for error is quite important, I think. Um, so yeah, that's all I can add.
Okay, of course, yeah. So yeah, I think Yusuf said something about online. Is game jam is going to be happening online this year, right? Okay, so what about David and Shiab? Are you guys doing an online, or people are coming over? Like it's going to be an on-site event?
Okay, for us, I've been talking with those that are going to be coming to the sites to actually participate in the jam, and we are having a ratio of those who will be physically around and those who won't be around physically. So we're actually trying to make provision for the two sides of people. So those that will be joining online, I mean, they will connect with us via source control and then be fully available with us, both in joining via Google Meet or Discord or one of our platforms that we've created. And those who will be there physically, I mean, we are working on having a physical space for them to work together. So everybody is invited, both away and present.
So yeah, you are doing both online and on-site.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. Shihab, what about you?
We're planning to do a pure online event this time. I mean, it really, I personally, I do love the physical aspect. I did love the
Of
physical aspect of
course.
the last game jam. I mean, just sitting there. I mean, walking around, the people being concentrating on their laptops, not focusing on what you're doing behind their backs, was fun. But well, I mean, we are living in a pandemic, so we believe that we shouldn't risk it. And besides, I think someone mentioned that the pandemic itself did, I mean, push people to adopt the remote work thing, and we did a game jam, Khartoum game jam, last year, 2020, I think mid August. We did not well. Actually, we also had a physical site, but it was mostly online, and most people participate online. I mean, traveling can be a little bit cumbersome these days. So no, I mean it would be better if the situation was helpful, but we're not planning to this year.
Okay, okay, that's good. So okay, so that means you guys are going to be streaming. So if you guys are streaming, you could share access to the streaming platform, so we can push it out there on our platform as well. I think that would be great if you share streaming videos to us. So yeah, let's go to the comment section and see if you have anything. So yeah, I think Michael Oscar is just agreeing to what you guys said. Plan well, know your team, balance your team, don't stay up late. Yeah, I think this idea of game jam. I started game jam, I think 2017, if I'm not mistaken. I participated in one. So of course, when I heard game jam, I thought it's like okay, hackathon. So yeah, just like a marathon. You don't sleep at all. So of course, I want to stay awake. Oh, we need to finish this. We need to finish that. So not until I was told, okay, no man, you need to rest a bit. So because I was always thinking, is you don't need to sleep for the whole 48 hours for the whole times. You just keep building and keep building. So yeah, well, of course, I get it now. So you have to plan well, know your team balance, and of course don't stay up late. Of course, yeah. Thank you for that, Michael Oscar. So again, I think this comment should be for David. I think that was because you said you are doing on site. So said I hope you
Um,
scan the temperature before they come in. Of course, you need to, man. Of course.
actually, we're still contemplating the on-site thing. We'd love on-site, but most of the jammers I've talked to won't even be available physically. So it's better we just probably push it online. But we are still open to wherever comes.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, then, no problem. So, I guess there's no question here in the comment section. Okay, so I guess that'll be it. I thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you. So, think we'll
Yeah,
be
thank you
seeing
so
you soon.
much.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us
guys.
over.
Yeah,
Good to be part of this.
thank you. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Yeah, bye, bye.
Bye.
Nice meeting you all.